I actually, what I love most is to come in and not really know and have any sort of concept of like, oh, well, this is a story I think you're bringing into this.
You're
I
like David Fincher. David
totally,
Fincher, who's like,
let's just wing it.
please do not memorize your lines
Yeah.
before. Or there's a famous theater director, Robert Woodruff, who I used
Hmm.
to like be a reader for. So they would come in, the actor would come in, and the one who wants the job, and I would be in reading the other lines right next to Robert.
Right.
Robert said one time, "Oh, yeah, see, you're at a disadvantage." He was talking to an actor who was trying to get a job. He's like, "Yeah, see, you're at a disadvantage because you've learned the lines and read the play before you came into the audition room." Because he didn't want it. He's like, "I don't want you to know anything."
I'm sorry, I prepared.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay, so we've got No Boring Stories podcast. I'm Alex Street. I'm your host, and this is a place where there's no boring stories. And as you can tell already, Andrew is going to bring some great stories today. Andrew Hovelson, you are here. You are bringing your story, your whole journey to us. It does involve acting. It involves all kinds of stuff. We're going to meet on all kinds of different levels, I'm sure, here around parenting, around acting, around performing, around coaching, around helping the next generation, all these different elements that we could touch on here in your story. But let's just start with how you're doing. You good?
I am the best I've ever been right now at this
Come
moment
on.
in my life.
No.
I'm doing fantastic, Alex. I'm super happy to be here. It's quiet in my house. The kids are out gallivanting around, and I'm staring at a blue light screen with the greatest Canadian of all time, Alex Street.
I'm just excited about the word gallivanting was just used. So
You you
that's
have
a
kids, but
plus.
get 3 boys under 10, and they will always gallivant, and you will never have the need for pets.
Is it gallivanting? I would probably describe that as 3 boys under 10. I would imagine they are freaking out all over the place. Is that like not freaking out, not they're exploring, they're maybe it's
Do you
gallivanting.
know what? So my dad is a veterinarian, mostly of large animals, cows
Okay.
and pigs. But so I got to know some animal lingo growing up. Do you have a dog, Alex?
I do not. I do not
Okay.
do
Have you ever
pets.
had a dog?
Nope.
Yeah. So do you know when you see
Unrelatable.
no, do you know when you see dogs at a dog park or on
I
your,
have seen dogs, yes. I
yes,
have witnessed dogs.
on the TikTok or whatever the
Yeah.
kids are calling it nowadays?
Dog talk. Come on.
Yes. Like running back and forth, like
Sure.
almost like having some sort of running seizure.
Hmm.
It's called frapping. I don't know why it's called frapping, but it's called
Okay.
frapping.
Hmm.
So we can either use for kids gallivanting or frapping, one of the two, because that's what they're doing.
Now we know. Now we know. I know what the title of this episode is going to be. Gallivanting or frapping. So, okay, you here. I mean, you started talking. We just started talking about whether we use this as the beginning of the podcast or not. I don't know, but we were talking about this idea of going in and reading your lines and being prepared. And some people are like, I don't want you to be prepared when you come in. You have experienced life as an actor,
Mhm.
and you know what it's like to go into an audition room. And this is something that not many people get to experience,
Mhm.
unfortunately, because I think it is truly a unique experience that tests your worth, your value, your drive, what you believe about humanity. Just being in that audition room. Before we get into the whole story and all of that, can you just give us a taste of what that has been like for you? How do you summarize that experience of the audition? Did La La Land get it right when they show Emma Watson show up with all people dressed the same and then they don't care about her? Like it, not Emma Stone, sorry. Or is it something different than that? What's been your experience like that in the audition space alone?
Every audition room is different. Every director, producer, is different. Everyone chooses to believe that audition rooms are a safe space to do your work. And everyone is utterly terrified of making the wrong decision.
Okay. So
And
there's
so
this counterbalance there.
yes, it can either be like toxic positivity or complete dread. And so as a performer, you have to walk in, which I've never been particularly good at, of walking in, being prepared, and being like, everyone right now is having an internal aneurysm, but not me.
Like not wait. Okay. So as the talent, you're walking in and recognizing that all the people on that side of the table, the casting directors, agents, team, director, if they're in the, they're all freaking out.
Yeah.
Because what?
If they make a wrong decision, right, they don't get to be God.
This is crazy because it's totally, I think, we think they're totally in control. So they must be calm as a cucumber. They must be just like, all right, perform for me. I hold all the power.
They are, but they hold all the power in the room, and then they give their power away to who's ever putting the money up for the project.
Wow. Yeah.
So it is a process of anointing. This is what I've come to believe, know, and understand of auditioning. It is a process of anointing. It feels good to anoint someone. It feels good as a dad to be like, see, I plucked you, young man, out of the wombs of myself, and now I have anointed you as the best child ever in my apartment building. That feels good. There's something incredibly selfish about that. And that's what people like to do in acting.
That I have chosen the night. I have deemed you as the champion. Now go and serve us well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But as the knight, as the one being anointed. So my experience as mostly only commercial acting, but it is this like, I don't know, how do I become what they want me to be? How do I step into this room and be what they want me to be? And that is is that the complete dread? Or is that the toxic positivity? Which
like, it's hard. It's hard because I haven't figured it out, I've had relative success. But I haven't figured it out, the balance of becoming what someone else wants you to be, and then actually trusting that they're like, well, we just want you to be yourself. It's like, well, if I'm myself, there's going to be some things that don't really go into this role or go into this audition period process.
Yep. Yeah, it's this. How do you be yourself while reading lines? How do you be yourself while pretending to be this dad of one? Well, I'm a dad of three. So how do I gently rub this woman's back and show her that I care when I know that you're watching me do it? It's so bizarre.
But when you
I think my first experience, when I first walked into an audition, I walked in like I had been anointed already, thinking, I've got this. I'm great. I'm a great actor. I can do this. And then I had never felt so small as like when they told me to do something. I was like, and then they told me to do it again, and they clearly looked disappointed. And then they said, okay, thanks. Actually, I don't think they said thanks. They said, you can go. And then I like walk out of the room, and I was expecting people outside the room to like look at me and like to be like, how did it go? How you do? Nobody looks at you. Nobody cares. It was so bizarre to not be noticed or not be. It felt like I wasn't seen, Do you know that?
You were seen. You were seen.
Ooh, that maybe hurts even more.
Yeah.
They saw me and didn't want me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Look, here's the deal. Acting is a process of, just like business, right? It's a process of relationships. It's a process of who you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
a process of how prepared you are as a human, right? To step into whatever role that is, whatever situation, whatever room
Mm-hmm.
that is. And it's also a process of persistence. I had a good friend who said, it's like this. 'Cause I'm from New York. Well, I'm from Minnesota, but I live in New York City. It's like going into a deli, like an old time deli in New
Mm-hmm.
York City. And then I don't know how they do it up north in Canada. I'm sure they just give everyone free sandwiches. But in
Well, we
America,
go
you
and
have to,
hunt our caribou
yeah,
first, and then we share it with the neighborhood.
then you share it. In
Uh,
America, you have to walk in with money and pay for your sandwich.
Unbelievable.
It's
Capitalist
disgusting,
society.
disgusting. So you take this deli ticket, right? You like take a ticket. It says like number,
Sure. Yeah. I've seen
11 to 20.
Seinfeld. I know how it
Yeah,
works.
exactly. There you go. I live in the building that Seinfeld was created. I
Mm,
live. That is a
okay. Finish this
100% true.
story, then we'll go to that one
Yeah,
because
I
that's
will.
okay.
I've ridden the elevator numerous times with the character Kramer was based off of. He's a neighbor of mine. Okay,
Oh,
so you
goodness
take the
gracious.
so you take the deli
Stay
ticket.
tuned, folks.
You take the deli ticket and you just wait. And sometimes your number is one, sometimes your number is 1,000. But you just have to stay in the deli as people leave, as people get their sandwiches, right? As
Mm-hmm.
people, get out of
Mm-hmm.
line and start talking to their friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? As people just decide that they don't have time because they're going to get fired from their job that actually makes them money to pay for the sandwich. And if you can
Mm-hmm.
just stay in the deli, eventually they'll be like, pastrami on rye, number 7,452,000, and then you go get your sandwich.
It's good. But if I leave, then I got to come back and get a new ticket. Have,
Yeah, you
have you
got to
seen
get a
that?
new
Have
ticket.
you seen that Mr. Bean? Uh, he's in the hospital and it's all about a
Yes.
ticket, and he loses his ticket, and then he's back at number and he tries to steal someone else's ticket.
Yes.
That's probably a more accurate representation. Mr. Bean is the most accurate representation of our lives, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
And the key with Mr. Bean is you have to see it because you can't hear it.
um, okay, I love that. I accept that and receive that. That acting, much like any opportunity that you're stepping into, any new thing, is like being in a deli. You take your number and you wait for it to come up. If you're not willing to wait, then you're going to start again.
Yeah. Now the key is to own the deli and be making the sandwiches yourself, right? And then
Go.
you can eat all day long.
Uh-huh.
And that's
And
the
then
honest truth,
then
right?
you hold the power.
Yeah. But exactly.
No, but yeah.
Then you're in America.
Mm-hmm. First you get the women. Then what is it? First you
I don't even know where you're going with that, but sure.
It's Simpsons, and in Simpsons he's mocking. So I think it's Scarface. First you get the money, then you get the women, then you get the power. I think that's it. That's probably it. We should have stuck to
Yeah,
Mr. Bean.
sure.
So okay, finish that thought because you had something good cooking there.
No, that was it. If you can, figure out how to create the sandwiches yourself, if you actually know the suppliers for like the bread and the pastrami, and you say, hey, we're going to serve everyone else sandwiches, that's when it gets to be really fun. That's when you have that's when you have like, I'm trying to think of who are those guys who like made movies like Super Troopers, or, all these groups of people make movies
Yeah.
together over and over. And all these,
But look at like Judd Apatow and his
yeah,
gang, like all those guys. Yeah.
happens in theater as well, right? It's just the economics aren't rewarded as much in theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when it gets really fun. I have a very good friend of mine who creates Cirque du Soleil shows right now, and we went to undergrad together in a really classical theater training program. He left to join the circus, and it took him a while, but now he'll come back into New York, and people want to see him and want to audition for things, and it's so foreign to him that he
Mm-hmm.
would go and take his ticket in the deli. He's like, well, I'm just creating the sandwiches every day, and he gets compensated extremely well for him, and he's creative all the time. But he chose that, right? He chose that from a younger age
Yeah.
to be the creator. So
This is good. I'm honestly, Andrew, I don't know if we'll actually dive much into your story today. I think this is going to be fun. We're just going to keep this conversation going and talk about, story creativity in general.
good. So this will
If
not
you're
be
good with
worth
this.
it for me. I'm
What are you expecting from this?
What do you want the story of your life
is-
to be, Alex?
Yeah.
What do you want the story of your life to be?
No, but here's where this is fun. I
Answer
could
the
answer that
question.
question if you want. I
Go ahead.
will. No, I'm in control here. If you have experienced storytelling, this is the thing, on a level that a lot of people have not, and in the profession of storytelling. And
Yes.
and that's where I'm interested. I've got my brother on the show as well. He's a screenwriter. He creates the stories, and if you are the one who's showing up on the other end of that, as this has been so much of what you've done in your career, this is the part I do want to know about your story, is taking that script and now performing it, turning that story into something real. I just think you've got something insightful to share for all of us who are now thinking, how do I tell better stories? This is where I see that you are living a story. You are constantly trying to live a great story, but you are also trying to perform the story that's being written.
Yeah. So here's there's a lot of different. We could go into this forever. There's a lot of different theories on this. Okay, classical theater, right? Start with classical theater. Right out of college, right? I went to one of the biggest outdoor classical theaters in the country, right? Very well respected in Wisconsin. It shares a lot of folks with Ashland, Oregon. A lot of what's the crazy outdoor theater that you guys have up north in Canada? Stratford Festival. There you
go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a lot of actors.
That's where
around.
Justin Bieber is from, Stratford. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, it makes sense. And their whole thing is they're putting on plays that are already written, and oftentimes the screenwriter isn't there, right? It's not there to ask questions of. The playwright isn't there, and so
a lot of it is Shakespeare, so he's definitely not there. Well, but yeah, somebody's rewriting it, or sometimes they're re-perform, or they're it's a slight rewrite or a retake on,
or not even a rewrite.
Anyways.
I'm talking more as a performer.
Yeah.
What your purpose there is, like, how does my character support the story all the time? How do I support the story? How does this fall into the story? How do I make the story better? The story is the thing. Right? Story is the thing. Get into independent film, and it depends, right? It depends on if the writer is also the director, right? It's also the producer. Sometimes it's important to have a strong, firm hand who knows exactly visually what they want.
Yeah.
And it's not about the story. It's like, I need you to actually do this. I need you to turn this lever right now in this scene so I can put all the puzzle pieces together. Not so much about the story, but at the end, 2 months from now, when I go into post, I'm just going to put the puzzle pieces together. Yeah. You don't need to know what the story is. You just need to be this best puzzle piece right now. Right. And another thing is, another option. There's a million different options, but another example, I should say, is in theater with some big names, right?
Yeah.
Is you have this delicate balance, and sometimes good tension, sometimes not, is where you've got a story that's written, and then you have a big honking name, which is the reason that people are going to come and see the story performed. And they say, I don't like this line. I'm not quite sure why I'm saying this line. I don't know why my character would do this thing here. And a lot of times they do it with grace. And a lot of times I've looked as a young actor being like, man, I should have more confidence to speak up like that. And a lot of times they don't do it with grace. And they're like, this sucks. I can't. And then I can't do this play. And then you, as not the big name, thinks, well, wait, I thought I just auditioned and then did the play that I was given.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they're
So
actually, that name is trying to mold the story itself.
right. It goes beyond co-creation.
Yeah.
To ownership or
100%.
overtaking.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So this is interesting. Would you rather be strong hand directed, or let's go the other extreme, complete improv in a role?
Good question.
Here's the story. Man needs to get his deli sandwich. Run with it.
The three most fulfilling things I've ever done in acting, performing, the art space. One is I was the director of it. Mm-hmm. Number two is I created like a one-man show myself. And it was extremely fulfilling because you actually release something inside yourself.
Yeah,
you
amazing.
Share a gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're opening up your soul for someone,
mm-hmm.
right? And you're both the owner and the performer of that, yeah. Right?
I feel like that's what a lot of my public speaking opportunities. Sure. That's what it is. It's like, here's my 40-minute one-man show once a week.
It's anyone that has a dream that builds a company. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's all the same thing. So that's extremely fulfilling.
So and directing one-man show and
then, acting in can you hear this in the background? Can you hear kids talking?
Very slightly, but it's not distracting.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's not distracting you. And then, it's acting with friends. It's saying, listen, I have 7 people who are incredible performers. We are going to take the pressure off of having to create the material ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to just jam like a great jazz musician, like a great jazz band, right? We get to jam like a jazz band. And, the song's there, mm-hmm. but we get to jam, and we get to do that 8 times a week. So I like all of those. Where I'm at this point in my life is I honestly don't care which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be.
There you go. That I can hear.
Oh my God. That's my agent calling me. It is. Hello? Yes? Oh, don't say the next thing I was going to say. Because the next thing I was going to say is, I don't care which one of those.
I love how the phone's still ringing.
I don't care.
We might have believed it for a second. Am I going to hear the message now?
Typically what it is it's somebody calling to sell my parents annuities because they're retired now and they don't want them to run out of money.
Hello, Mr. Hovelson.
We'll edit this out. We'll go back and
Mr. Spielberg.
Okay. So at this point, I don't care. I would like it to be financially stable because it goes back to the anointing, right? Because the anointers want to say, Alex, you have an amazing podcast. Keep doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I will handpick you out of a number of podcasts, right? A number of cookies in the cookie jar.
Right.
And I will give you the platform to both creatively fulfill yourself, right? And financially fulfill yourself,
mm-hmm.
right? But what happens with the rest of the cookies? They could be amazing podcasts, right? Do they even get eaten?
I love the metaphors that we are dancing around in this episode. This is so rich. But because here's the thing. There's 2 thoughts that come after that. One, what the hell happened with it's my turn. It's my ticket. I'm the next in line. But you're saying here, they're jumping ahead 100 people because that guy's got it. That guy's got it. And we want to, or at least we want to see if he's got it before we come to the next one in line. So we're walking through life. Let's bring this to reality and everybody's listening and all this stuff that isn't an actor. We're walking through life expecting the next thing to come from me. I'm sure it's my turn. It's my turn to succeed. My business is going to go. I mean, I put in this hard work. I quit my job. It's my turn. It's my turn. But what? Somebody else is getting success.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go, wow, I am just so tired. I wish somebody would just call my name. And when that happens, then, I mean, so that's one element, is like, what do we do with that when we're just like, we're so tired and it seems like someone else is getting it? And then there's this other element of, when you get it, are you the kind of person who wants to be given, here you go, here's the stage, just go for it. Here's your business. Here's your platform.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun. Or are you the kind of person who needs somebody to say, this is your next move. Okay, now do this. Now move here. Now make this call. And I think some of us, we feel like we get into business, we get into entrepreneurship, we get into all kinds of stuff, running our own business, because we feel like we want the improv life.
Yeah.
But we don't recognize how much the director is involved in that. We don't realize how much somebody else has formed that story or that stage to make that possible, or how much we need the people around us. And I feel like that's kind of what you're saying, is there, like, it doesn't matter, like, any of these formats are good.
Mm-hmm.
What I care about most is it actually sustainable, or am I waiting for the random pick again and again?
Which one
again?
would you prefer?
Of which? Of what?
Would you prefer waiting in line for the Deli ticket, or would you prefer, you know what, screw it?
This is the thing. I've spent most of my life waiting for the I'm number 812. I see that they're at 104, and I've been expecting the phone. I've been expecting them to call me. Do you know what I mean? Them being, so this is when I was a youth pastor, I was like waiting for the phone call. Okay, when's the next thing going to come? I'm not at this church anymore. I know that, but there's some other bigger opportunity. There's something else out there. I know that I'm made for something else, something, whatever that looks like. When's that phone call going to come? So I've spent most of my life expecting that, the invitation to come to me, and that kind of clarity to come, where somebody just says, you will be ours and you will help us succeed. And what I'm realizing is that it's the patience game. Yeah, it's much more about staying in the deli and waiting for your turn.
It's interesting because in a corporate America setting, in a job setting, in like a school setting, right? You can kind of see, you're like, okay, then the senior class is going to graduate and I'll be a senior next year, right? In corporate America, you're like, well, Alex is going to retire in a couple of years, and then I'll at least be on the short list for his job, right? And maybe I get it, maybe I don't, but there's like a path and a track to run on.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's easier to stay in the deli, even if you know that you're number 1,000 and that they're only going through, 2 a month, right? In acting,
because you can predict that.
Yeah. In acting and entrepreneurship, they're just like, hey, welcome to the deli. Take a number.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go through 20. Sometimes we don't go through any, because it all depends on who wants the sandwiches and when they want them. And honestly, if the people that make the sandwiches are even showing up for work today. And
that all seems so random and honest. Like, I don't. So
here's the deal.
That's
Alex,
the thing.
Alex,
we don't want that.
This is
sort
my
of
podcast, Alex. This is my podcast now.
Yes, sir.
So, and so what's happened?
I'm the captain now.
So what's happened over and over, and I've come to realize this. I just had a fascinating conversation with my business partner about this yesterday. Is that both in acting and entrepreneurship, you have to anoint yourself in your head. You have to be the one that's like, listen, I have the best number. Whether I choose to wait in line or I choose to go take my number to Western Union and be like, listen, man, I want my money now. You've got to choose yourself. And you have to tell yourself that every day.
You in this earlier, I asked a question.
It's 11:11 here, Central Standard Time. Whatever you believe in numbers and make a wish, do it right now.
And this is going to be the best statement ever made right here, because you said that one of the best stories ever told is specifically Goodwill Hunting, and very specifically the moment where Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, they're having a conversation outside the construction site, and they're talking and saying, you know what I hope? What does Ben Affleck say? My greatest hope is I'm going to show up one day to pick you up, and you're not going to be there. Just gone. Poof. You didn't say anything, and that's it. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, because you've got something. Me, I'm stuck here. I'm a Southie. This is my life. But you've got something more. And what you just said, Andrew, about saying, no, but this is what I'm here for. Like, it's about recognizing that you've got something. It's choosing that direction. That's what that moment is, right? It's Ben Affleck saying, Matt, recognize this. You got something. You need to choose to go and get it. So what does he do? He's going to go and see about a girl, and he's going to go to MIT or whatever that is. But that's everything that you're talking about. Yes?
Yeah. I got goosebumps and started welling up when you told that story. It's one of the best conversations you can ever have. I grew up with like a really close group of guy friends, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's gone to do something different. And I'm still really close with some of them, and we've all done different things. So that kind of, I don't know, for lack of better terms, that kind of like bro mentality, those tough conversations, that always just got me. Is that he said, yeah.
No, I just look at this as the thing with that story. I think of what's Matt Damon's character's name in it? Goodness, I don't know.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, what's his name?
The title of the movie is
Yo, Will. Okay. All right.
In fact, his last name is Hunting.
I know. It's great. Okay. So come on back.
Yeah.
So when Will, his story, if I were to look at a story arc, it's, look, I was this guy, I was poor, I could do all this stuff, and then I happened upon this thing and this incident, and I mean, people discovered that I've got this crazy mind for math, but then I had a conversation with who? Like, what's he going to use? I mean, this is the thing. It's not just the moment, but it's a moment. And that conversation with his best friend is a moment. Obviously, there's another moment that happens with Robin Williams. It's not your fault. So there's another moment, or sitting on the park bench. There's another moment that could be the turning point in his life, in his story. And I think the key is, as you were just saying, I've got these guys. I've got these guys in my life that I know they have a more significant voice than anybody else. They know me. We've been through everything. And if one of them were to have the confidence, the balls to say, Andrew, it's time. I need you to show up how we all know you can show up. I need you to do that. I actually want you to do that at the risk of us not being friends anymore. It's worth it. Those are the kind of conversations that we look for in this life. We need to look at and look for and be open to. Not only happening to us, but us sort of leading the way on, because those are the transformative moments. And I just love that, as you say, you've got those guys, but that story shows up for us all over the place, and we just need to be open to it. Has that conversation happened for you?
In various points in my life, yes. It happened the other day. I was texting with one of my friends, and I was, trying to just dealing with something. And he said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "I'm not quite sure that I can overcome this challenge." He said, you left a town of 1,100 people, right? Which is where I grew up. Not left. I'm here back in that town right now for some vacation. But he said, you left You followed your dreams to New York City, been on Broadway film and television, and we've all watched you do that. So the idea that you're telling me right now that you have a challenge that you're trying to overcome and you're not able to do that is so foreign to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he's saying. Like, that doesn't even compute in my head that would be in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Have you had anyone say that to you? Those conversations? And how did you receive it? That's the most important.
Yeah, I'd say mostly it's come in the last couple of years as I've put myself into like an entrepreneurship space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's me trying to hold back a little bit and people saying, "Are you kidding me, Alex?" Like it's me saying like, "I don't know, like is this really going to succeed?" And people going like, do you know how we see you? Do you even do you even know how much good you're doing? How it's Chris Harder, right? One of our mentors and like a host of a membership program saying to me in public, "You're going to be a household name." And it's me, like it's me then having to go, "Wait, what?" Like me, because yes, when I was 18, I saw my name in lights as an actor, but that was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I left that dream to focus on something else. And now, so to picture that actually still happening in some other way and somebody to say, "Do you even see this? Do you even see how we see you?" What a gift to receive, but it can be hard to receive. But I think when we do, that changes the story.
I think from knowing you, Alex, just deeply, because we've spent so much time together, is that
we're barely acquaintances for those listening.
Yes. Maybe what you need is here, we'll have one of those conversations right now about storytelling, is not from a Chris Harder or a huge person in the personal development space, is someone like me who has some success in it, right? But sees someone who has a value in the marketplace, which you do as a storyteller, right? For a whole host, hundreds of thousands, millions of people worldwide who love personal development, but don't know how to talk about themselves. You have caught lightning in a bottle with the what you provide, the service, the value you provide for this community, right? So here's the conversation. If I'm sitting here a year from now and we're having this conversation again over Zoom, right, instead of in some amazing podcast studio, then I'd be pissed off. I would be pissed off because I'm working my tail off over here, right, going to the next thing. And you don't even have to work, Alex. You just have to show up in these mastermind groups and tell people, this is what I do. These are all the people that I've worked with. And this is how I'm compensated. It's that easy. And so if you don't drop me a text that says, "Hey, I'm to see about a girl," and then next time you're on like, the Tony Robbins or Lewis Howes podcast yourself, I'll be like, well, what has he done?
This is good. I'm watching Goodwill Hunting tonight.
Yeah. And I, Alex, I will wonder what you've done. I will like either he didn't trust himself. He didn't actually trust what he had. Right. Mm-hmm. Or, yeah.
So, okay. So what's okay here. First of all, I don't want to just bounce this back too quickly. And we're kind of in the winding down. The plane is landing here as far as this conversation goes.
We should do this again. We'll have another one.
Absolutely.
Like tomorrow. We'll have another one tomorrow where we talk about what I actually want to talk about.
Yeah, I know. You had a ticket for one destination. I was like, nope, sorry, tracks are turned. We're going the other way, other coast. I'm going to receive that first. I'm going to hear that. And I love thinking of myself as hot young Matt Damon right now, and you as studly, brawny Ben Affleck. And we need a friend to be Casey Affleck in this situation. We need somebody to be like the nerdy little, wish I had my double burger. But
They put your double.
this
I'll put it right here. I put it right here. Put your double burger every week. Pay 10 cents. And so you give me 10 cents. You stack up your 10 cents. You get
layaway plan.
Yeah, layaway plan.
So I received that, and I love how that's going. And for those listening that also just heard you calling them out,
yeah.
I have to accept that. I have to realize that that's our role right here. As yes, you're talking to me, and I know that as a listener, I've listened to podcasts where two people are having a conversation, but I'm the person who's being called out in this. And so while I'm receiving this, I also know that someone else is hearing this, and it's almost like they wish that they had someone like you to just do that for them. They need someone to do that for them. And first of all, you just had that. Just take that. Take this. Take Andrew right now as that person for you. Stop making excuses like, I don't have a good friend to do that for me. You just got one. And then also there's something that just triggered for you. For me, let's be real. I'd be disappointed in myself. So I don't actually care if I disappoint you. But you saying that makes me realize that I would be disappointed in myself. And I would wonder, what did I just do for the last year? And next August, I would come back and say, what was I doing?
Yeah. What's interesting about the Goodwill Hunting conversation is that it takes a bizarre turn, because if I'm remembering it right, Will kind of says, oh yeah, I owe it to myself to go take, to go give my gifts. And Ben Affleck says, no, F you owe it to me.
That's true.
That's what he says. And that's a little different. We'll dive into that over the next 7 podcast series that we have together, because I'm not sure which is, here's the thing. You do not judge the carrot, right? And don't judge the spank. If the spank, right, gets you out into the world, and it's your friend or your coach or your mentor saying, you owe it to me, not to yourself. I don't even care about you, Alex. You owe it to me. And that gets you moving. Don't judge that.
Yeah.
Right. If at the end you're like, I don't care about disappointing Andrew or Chris, I care about disappointing myself, then don't judge that carrot either. But in that conversation, Ben says, no, screw you. You owe it to me. You owe it to all of us here.
But that's a level of, because he knows how much Will cares about his friends. And so there's something about, maybe I'm just saying, I don't care about you. Thanks for being on my show. But there's got to be something to the level of the people in your life. I would say, yeah, exactly. The tightest people in my life, if they said something to me, if they said, you owe it to me, I would go, oh, I'm missing something in myself here. Me owing it to myself hasn't been enough so far. So yes, I do need that from someone else. I need that push. I need that spank, as it were, to get going. And that's what makes for a great story. These are the moments that then, as we translate this, we look back and we say, it was because of that conversation, that person. And it did not feel big at the time, but holy crap, I look back now and it was a turning point. Those are the moments that we need to latch onto and say, because of that, I am who I am now.
So here's how I imagine this relationship going between me and you. Do you listen to Armchair Expert?
Yes.
Okay. So Vincent D'Onofrio's on all the time, right?
Okay. We just watched Jurassic World last night, and he's in that. He's the big bad guy in that.
Okay. He's a strange bird. You want to go down the rabbit hole. He's a horrible auditioner. Does not like it. But I listened to him on Armchair Expert on my 14-hour journey in a minivan overnight from New York City to the Midwest in America. And he's got this poem. This poem is fascinating. It's another thing that gives me goosebumps and makes me almost want to cry. And this is the poem, much to the same thing that we were just talking about. It goes like this. Pigs can't look up, but I could pick a pig up one night and raise it into the sky and tilt this pig ever so gentle. I can make sure this pig's eyes line up with the stars. Imagine seeing the stars for the first time. I want to be treated that kindly and see the stars for the first time.
Okay. We're just going to end it. Andrew, this has been a true delight. I love getting your insight. I know that we really could talk for a long time and just play this back and forth. I'm sure that someone got something out of this and has been challenged in a way. Thank you for challenging me. Thank you for opening up about your experiences so far. We're absolutely going to have a part 2 to this conversation to hear your specific story, how you got into acting and how you got into coaching and what you love most about life right now. We will get into all of that. But as for today, there's no doubt in my mind that you have helped craft many more not boring stories in this world. And yeah, I think you're helping people look up and see the stars for the first time. So thanks for your time and thanks for everything that you bring to this.
Thanks, Alex. You're a rock star. Don't blame Canada.